So, can you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do? I know you in personal circles,
Yeah,
but professionally, I also know you professionally, but for those watching,
yeah. Okay, so yeah, like you said, you've known me for a while, from I think when I was even like 12 or something.
yeah.
Yeah. But for people watching, I've my name is Bernard Sokpe.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone calls me the Meister, or
Mm-hmm.
everyone calls me Meister. I've been working for career-wise. I've been working for close to 10 years. I'll say since professionally since 2011. I started my career when I came out of school. I started my career as a graphic designer. So I came out of school thinking I'm going to be a graphic designer, and in my mind, at the end of my career, I'll be a creative director at most. But now I'm into so many things. But what people mainly know me for is that I run a brand agency called Brandmeister. So what Brandmeister does is we help brands and businesses with strategy and anything in the marketing space. Um, Before I even get into what Brandmeister actually does, still not to deviate, still talking about myself. I'm a father. I have two two daughters, so I'm a proper girl dad.
Hashtag girl dad.
Yeah, hashtag girl dad. Um, I what else? What else? I'm second born of out of three siblings.
Mm.
Yeah, actually, I have a sister who's into marketing too, but
Okay.
market research, very deep into marketing. I always say she's even more knowledgeable than I am
Mm.
because she's always spitting the facts and showing me the numbers and why things would make more business sense. What else?
So, how many people are in the agency that you run?
Okay, so sitting behind desks, we
Mm.
have 12 people.
So, okay.
Yeah, but then we have other people who come in like contract consultants,
Mm.
and so in total we're about 18
18.
who
Okay.
work, and it's a mix of designers, copywriters, people who do motion graphics, people who do video, like shooting, and people who do BTL, like helping us with activations and events. Yeah.
What's BTL? Explain it to me like
So
I was a 5 year
BTL,
old.
so in marketing, there is ATL,
Mm-hmm.
BTL, and TTL. I'll explain. So ATL, what we call above the line, is marketing that is not targeted specifically at like individuals. So for example, a billboard,
Mm-hmm.
a TV ad, a radio ad is above the line because anybody can hear it.
Okay.
If a billboard is on the roadside, multiple people drive past, and that's the multiple target audience. The most you can do some targeting with a billboard is to put it in a place that you assume that maybe lots of it's an affluent place or it's near a mall, young people will be there, but it's still above the line because anybody can see it. Um, Radio ad too is the same. Once you tune in, I mean, anybody can hear it, and it's not very targeted. But below the line means it is very targeted to a set of people. So, for example, if you do an activation in one side, maybe the kids side of the mall, you know you are targeting parents and kids. If you do an activation in a school, you know you're
Mm-hmm.
just speaking to um, young people. And activation is basically, let's say, any event that's supposed to drive any marketing agenda. So maybe people dancing and giving away products or
Mm.
something is an activation. You creating maybe a bowling ball experience somewhere, and then people will win things from a product is an activation. So that is BTL. And then there's TTL, which is through the line.
Mm-hmm.
That's normally a mix. It's not very common, but anyone who does any integrated marketing approach is mixing both BTL and ATL and that through the line, and it's yeah. So that's it. But yeah, so that's BTL, that's ATL. We do some BTL for clients, we do some ATL for clients, we do digital for clients. Um, yeah.
So let me ask you this. There's been there's recent talk about branding, and everybody seems to be invested
Yeah.
in what branding is and what is
Yeah,
graphic
I'm even
design.
sitting up to so that I can. You're getting into places that I'm really interested in.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm interested in that too because what I want to discuss with you is how to build a brand.
Okay.
So I want to know what a brand is and what branding isn't. So let's start with what is branding.
Okay. It's it's a very it's a very interesting question,
Hmm.
and I mean, all through my career working in this space for close to 10 years, I've heard multiple definitions of branding. And I mean, 2 years ago, when I was in the UK studying my master's in brand leadership, almost every lecture I sit in, the lecturer comes with a different definition of branding. However, there's still one consistent thread or thing that makes what branding what it is. I like to use this as an example. If you were to leave your kids, right? How many kids do you have?
I have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had to leave your child,
Mm.
you're traveling, and you had to leave your child with you and your wife are traveling, and you
Yeah.
have to leave your child with someone, like out of your friends, not family.
Mhm.
Who would you leave? Um, who would you leave your child with?
One person. Who would
Yeah.
I leave
You
my
can
child
mention
with?
a name. Yeah. Who would you leave your child
Well, I have to be one of my college friends,
with? Yeah. What's
John.
the person's name?
Yeah, we'll call him John.
John.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So I mean, why would you leave your child with John?
because I trust that he'll take good care of her
Okay.
and make sure that she's safe at least till the time that I get back.
Okay. Why do you trust John?
Because we've had a lot of shared experiences. We
Okay.
had tested experiences, and he's somebody I can count on, knowing that this person will be there for me.
Okay, so from that, I get that you had shared experiences with
Yes,
him, and that's a key word, shared experiences.
exactly.
You can count on him, so you think he's
Trust.
credible.
Yes, he's credible.
He's credible, and then you can trust him, and you're able to arrive at that conclusion because you've known him for a while, and he's
Exactly.
been consistent with the way he does things. So you
Mm.
know that he has a reputation, or you have a perception that this guy is trusted. I can leave my kid with him, and your kid is like very dear to you. So
Yeah.
that's why you use your child. You can leave your child with this person and then travel.
Mhm.
That's basically the concept of branding.
Mhm.
Brands build shared experiences with their users, and over a time, that's why consistency is very needed. It's very key in branding. And over a period of time, when a brand consistently delivers an experience or a message or a thought or yeah, an experience, you eventually trust the brand. And when you trust the brand, you have a reputation or a perception. The brand has a reputation of something,
Yeah.
and you have a perception in your mind that this brand is is this way. It's whether fun, it's whether cool, it's whether it's rowdy, it's
Mm.
exciting, and those are the perceptions that you build of the brand, and that's what makes up the brand. So look at it like the iceberg concept, where um, at the bottom is you see, the iceberg is there. You can't see that, but you only see what's on the top.
Okay.
Yeah, and normally the what's at the bottom is larger. You just see a little bit at the top. That's what makes up the brand. The logo, the colors, the typography,
Yeah.
as what's on top, and that's what you see. But what makes, so for example, you see an artwork or a logo of a brand. It looks nice, it appeals to you, but you still don't trust that brand. You still don't know
Mm.
anything about that brand. What makes you now feel loyal or trusted about that brand is what is at the bottom, and that's the personality, what you know about the brand over a period. So, in summary, a brand is basically a perception. Is what the perception you have about something. So, I like to use this a lot. When I used to work in music, I mean, before I even worked in music, I got to work in music because the artists I was working with felt like they trusted me to work on their brand for them because
Yeah.
they had seen over a period of time that I've been consistent with my brand and what I do as a brand specialist. So now that is the brand that I've shaped in his mind. Now, besides that, now I work with this guy for close to 4 years, and then I realized that the kind of emails or messages or deals or interactions that I get now are only things got to do with music. So I wake up in the morning, every time I see help me with my music, listen to my SoundCloud, that kind of thing, and I realize that that is not what I am. I am a brand specialist
Yeah.
helping a music artist. But the music artist has gotten so big that it has overshadowed my brand. So then now I'm not able to deliver what, or people now have a different perception of me, or based so now my brand is diluted. They don't see me as a brand specialist again, they see me as a music mogul, they see me as
That
a
is
record
true.
producer. So then I decided that, okay, now I need to come back to change and shape my personal brand in the minds of these people. So how do I start doing that? I start writing articles about brand stuff. I come out with the whole Brandmeister thing, start calling myself the Brandmeister. Putting the articles were the main thing, putting out brand articles every 2 weeks. And I realized that over time, it started changing. And now people were contacting me for brand related stuff. The
So,
music was less. And up to, as of now, I rarely get anyone message me about music.
so from what you're saying, branding is all about creating
Perception.
perception and experiences.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a perception, but how do you arrive at that perception? It's the shared experiences over a period of time and being very consistent with them.
okay. So, from what you're saying, branding wouldn't just be about logo,
No,
design,
no,
typography,
no.
aesthetics. It has to do.
It has to do with beyond that, how you connect to the user, what kind of messaging you put out, um, anything at all that you are that makes up what you are. So where the challenge is when so internally you the company always has
The company or the individual, because you can build a
an
personal
individual
brand. Yes.
or company has in their mind what they call the brand identity. In their mind, they want to position themselves as maybe um, credible, right? But out there, they are not doing credible things. So now the audience doesn't see them as credible. So out there, what the audience sees is what they call the brand image.
Yeah.
And what the person is creating is the brand identity. Now, if the brand identity and the brand image don't pair, you have a problem with your brand.
Okay. So that's when, I mean, I've read it, and because I do a lot of corporate strategy work,
Okay.
and it's basically the kind of conversations that go around when you're not in the room,
Yes.
what people say about you.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today, if you're building a brand, you have to start all over again. What would be your first go-to?
Purpose.
Purpose. Identify your
Yeah,
purpose.
purpose. And a lot of brands, especially in this part of our world, don't know their purpose. Fine, they know their vision. Vision is very similar to purpose, but purpose is more. It's not like a KPI. Most people's visions are like a KPI, and okay, we want to be the biggest, whatever in Africa. Fine, you become the biggest in Africa,
And then what's next?
And then what next?
Yeah.
That is not purpose. But purpose is like saying we want to impact the world and change maybe the environment sustainably or create sustainable ways to do. Now, that is something that is continuous. Even when you, the founder, are gone, anybody who picks it up runs with that purpose. Because there's no way you can complete achieving that purpose of being sustainable or that purpose of how do you call it, being impacting maybe the environment.
Yeah.
That is like a rolling how do you call it?
A continuous
work. So yeah, what I'll change or what I'll do first is identify my purpose.
Your purpose, okay.
And to identify your purpose, I call it the butterfly concept. You know what Ikigai is?
Yes, the Japanese method of
it's
thinking.
similar to that. I learned this one in the UK, and I mean, along with the work too I do over time, that's what made me arrive at this. So finding your purpose is basically it's an intersection. It's like a Venn diagram. You find out what is wrong with the world. And when I say what's wrong with the world, it means what is wrong with your world. So if, for example, you're a lawyer, right? What is wrong with the legal world that you're in? What is the issue in the space that you're in? Now, when you find what is wrong with the world, you use what you are good at to solve what is wrong with the world. So you have two bubbles, right? What is wrong with the world? What makes you stand out? Like what you are good at,
Yeah.
and then
The intersection.
using it to fix what is wrong with the world. That becomes your purpose.
Okay.
So and the reason why it's important to use what you're good at is that that's what makes you unique. You can't use what other people are good at. Maybe, just for example, you're a lawyer, but maybe you are really good at maybe analyzing things, right? Okay. What is wrong in the world, in the legal world, is maybe you can give me any problem that's wrong in the legal world.
So what's compliance, for example? Most
Okay.
companies are non-compliant with
Okay.
what they have to do, their regulatory bodies, their filings, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So using your analytical skill to solve that compliance issue helps
Yeah.
you find your purpose.
Yeah.
And then you're able to define that in maybe one decent sentence, and then that's your brand purpose.
Okay.
And then you live it through. So because it is like a rolling, continuous thing, anybody, if you've left or you've sold a company, or anybody comes to take over, or you go into the board of governors, the board, you come past with the board, and there are new people even running the business, because that purpose is what's leading the brand, they would continuously achieve that and keep pushing it.
The
in
purpose
different
essentially
ways.
becomes the culture and how the
Yes, it translates into culture.
It translates into culture. It translates into
You get it. It translates into culture.
things that you can see,
Yeah.
the beliefs and values that even
Yeah.
your employees buy into.
So you see, they're all interconnected now.
Yeah.
So now when you're doing your values too, you do your values shaped into your purpose. Because your values cannot be disconnected from your purpose.
That's true.
You understand what I mean? So if we are talking about, let's say, sustainability, the values of a company will now be aligned to things like empathy.
Yeah.
You understand? Because then they care about the environment, they care about making things stay sustainable. Empathy, what other things could be? But anything that fits into the purpose, you understand? So that is how it becomes interconnected. And if you realize all these things are interconnected because you're trying to build a brand, and brand is very much, how do you call it? It thrives very much on the bedrock of consistency.
That is true.
So if now you say, okay, we are fun brand, and then your values are more about always be serious, and the next moment you're communicating something to completely maybe a caregiver archetype online about how you are empathetic. So online you're showing sympathy and being empathetic.
But then in person, it's different.
Offline, in the values of people, they are very serious. Then this in press or whatever, or radio, you're communicating how you are fun. Then there's a complete disconnect, and people can't put the finger on it and say, what do we know this brand for? We don't know this brand for anything, because they're communicating three different things. And a lot of people don't know that because they are focused on just trying to sell.
Yeah.
It's like we want to eat, and that's just the nature of, we want to chop. So nobody has time for building a brand. So people, for example, a job comes up, right? And you don't come into mind. Your company doesn't come into mind. And you don't understand. But why did you think of me? I do this. But they didn't think of you because you've not solidified your brand as consistent or have a perception to do this service. Because you are doing multiple things that misrepresent you. So they can't think of you. Now, anybody who talks about brand, they come to me, hey, we heard you're the brand person, you can help us with this. Because they know me for that. And I've been consistent with that in all channels, everywhere. Okay. You get what I mean?
So what year did Brandmeister start as an agency?
Okay, so the idea, I mean, I like I said, I used to be a graphic designer. And people used to come to me, help me, tell me to do design and stuff. But I was still working corporate. But because it was something I was passionate about, I set up the name Brandmeister in 2015.
2015, okay.
But it wasn't registered as a company. Then somewhere along the line, when I started working in music, then that's when I officially started registering companies. So I registered Meister Music, I registered Brandmeister, but I registered them under Meister Multimedia.
Okay.
Because at that point I had a vision that, okay, this is me as a brand person. Now see me, I'm in music. At this rate, I'll end up going into multiple things.
Yeah.
So I set up Meister Multimedia because I know I'll do multimedia stuff. And then now I have
So
Brandmeister.
you diversified into other channels because
Yes,
you knew
into other
that.
channels. Yeah, I'm even about to launch Jobmeister
Okay.
for recruiting and stuff. But then I never really started operating Brandmeister officially until I met my partner Therese. So I mean that's also a different.
Who's affectionately known as Brandmeister.
Well, and that's where it started.
Okay.
You know that whole imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Where I knew that I was good, like I was dope at what I do, and I mean in the companies I was working for, I still knew that like they hired me because they know my.
They could
skill
see
set.
your value and.
Yeah, but I still didn't feel bold enough to come out and say, hey, I'm a brand consultant. I'm doing this. I know my stuff. I'm going to help businesses. I just didn't see I used to see myself like, all right, I'll work for one company. They'll pay me and that kind of thing. I just didn't. I felt like I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
You understand? But then Therese met me, and then she could see everything I could not see. So that means subconsciously I was doing my branding well, but she could see that this guy, you have a brand, right? You understand what you're doing. I think you can do it. And she kept saying, why aren't you doing it for other people? Why are you not? Why don't you?
Why
just
are you
stop?
doing it for yourself?
Yeah,
because you were doing it for other people.
Yeah,
under
so why
employment.
aren't you? Yeah, why aren't you just doing it for myself? Yes,
Yes.
I like that. And helping other people, setting up on your own. But I still didn't feel like I was there yet. I mean, her idea was it was her idea to even because it's consistent with the articles, so that it's changed that perception. Because I let her know this is my challenge. So sometimes she doesn't realize it, but she didn't come from a brand background, but she doesn't realize it. But she's naturally a brand person because of the things she does, or even the suggestions and things she does. So I knew automatically that this person, I can partner with this person. You understand? And it can, because it's transferable skills.
Yeah.
We can easily transfer. And now she spews lots of brand knowledge, and it's just surprising. But well, it's not surprising for me. But when you look at her background and you look at what she does now, she was in the medical field.
Yeah.
And then what she does now, you see a very big
gap.
A very big growth. Yeah.
I mean, there's always that point during an entrepreneur's life that you know that people see value in you and they write you a check that makes you think twice about the imposter syndrome that you had.
Yeah.
And you start feeling like, I can actually do this for a living. What was that point for you? What was your first client?
Before Brandmeister.
Yeah.
Well, I had Brandmeister that I was I hadn't registered it, but I was using it. But I partnered with some friends of mine, and then we set up a company called Social Gong.
Mm-hmm.
So our first big client was, well, we actually set up the company because we saw an opportunity. We saw that Unilever was doing something called Idea Trophy. They needed a brand agency, a digital agency. So we came together, set up this. Most of them were not brand people, more business-led. One was IT. So I was basically, and one was just pure design. I was basically the one doing the full strategy. So after we did the strategy, we submitted, they put the budget, and these guys approved it. And said, all right, we sent us a PO, you're going to pay us this amount. When I saw the amount, I'm like, did I by just sitting down for a couple of hours, putting together a strategy, which I do every day in the office and stuff, or for other personal things, get this number of figures on an invoice? I was blown away, and that just really told me that you can do this. You can do it. So even down the line, even when I was still stuck in that imposter thing, I still wasn't afraid that I won't make money. I knew that I had made that kind of money before. I just need some more push to be able to make it. So that was Unilever Idea Trophy campaign.
Okay. What I tell
2014. Yeah.
What I tell people is money is a byproduct of value.
Yeah.
So as long as you're contributing towards somebody's value or growth,
Yeah.
it comes back to you in the form of money.
Money, yeah.
People who don't hire you don't see how valuable you can be to their business.
Yeah.
And
so I was working with friends and we put together that proposal for Unilever's Idea Trophy in 2014. I mean, when I worked a couple of hours on the strategy, I was the main person doing the strategy. The rest were IT, finance, and there's a designer. We shared this strategy with the clients, and then the client says, "All right, approved. We're sending you a PO for it." And when I saw the number we had put there, I was not even sure. I thought like, oh, I was taking a bet, but then they approved it, and then it just made me see that my work can actually be monetized, or my talent or my skill set can actually be monetized, and yeah.
So from there, one project of yours that I noticed was your work with Bloomberg.
Okay.
Then how did that start? How did that come about?